Today, I will show you a comedy, fantasy, mystery film from 2020, titled Palm Springs. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the desert resort city of Palm Springs, Niles wakes up in the room he shares with his girlfriend, Misty, who has brought him to be his +1 at a wedding where she'll be the bridesmaid. Niles wants to begin the day having some intimacy time with her, but while at first she accepts, she really isn't in the mood, being more worried about getting ready than thinking about her boyfriend. She tells him to finish himself while he watches her change, but it doesn't work, so he's left hard and frustrated. Misty won't stand for this and asks him to smile for the sake of the wedding, which Niles reluctantly accepts. Instead of getting ready as well though, he goes to the swimming pool to sunbathe while chatting with Jerry, who flirts with him. The same clothes he's wearing at the pool are the ones he later takes to the wedding, because he doesn't really care about anything, thinking all days are the same. The ones getting married are Tala and Wilder and Abraham Eugene Trench Schlieffen, better known as Abe. Tale's half-sister Sarah Wilder isn't very happy to be there either, and during the party she asks for extra wine to survive the experience, not caring if it's the cheap kind. After Misty finishes her speech, she calls for Sarah to give hers, but she is a bit drunk and didn't prepare anything anyway. Her dad Howard Wilde and her stepmom Pia Wilder put pressure on her and tell her to do it, so she nervously stands up as she tries to think of something to say. Luckily, Niles cuts in and takes over the microphone, giving a speech that includes Tala's charity work and her donation of bone marrow to her brother. He also talks about feeling lost and being found, which Sarah feels like it's directed at her. The speech is a success, and then the party truly begins. Everyone is having fun on the dance floor, except for Sarah, who is drinking at her table after turning down one of the groomsmen again. Suddenly, Niles appears among the dancers, showing how he perfectly knows every person's moves as he keeps looking at Sarah, silently asking her to dance with him. When she turns him down, he leaves, but her curiosity has been piqued, so she follows him to another table. As soon as she arrives, he recognizes her perfume, which she hates and is only wearing because it was a gift from Tala. Sarah thinks that Niles doesn't believe a word of what he said in the speech, and he admits he doesn't. He thinks we are all alone. When he asks her to leave the party and go somewhere private, Sarah points out Misty wouldn't like seeing his boyfriend leaving with another woman, and he proves her wrong by showing her how Misty is currently doing the wedding officiant in the bathroom. To make him feel better, Sarah tells him her family considers her an embarrassment that only knows how to sleep around and drink, then she kisses him. The two of them go to the desert area to make out and get intimate, but while Niles is in the middle of undressing, he's shot by an arrow on the shoulder. Sarah freaks out, but Niles isn't surprised by this. In fact, he has been expecting it, and even knows the guy that shot it, Roy Schlieffen. Roy ignores Sarah and chases Niles as he keeps shooting him until they reach the entrance of a glowing cave. Thinking Niles is already inside, Roy enters the cave, but Niles had been hiding behind a rock and enters after him. Sarah arrives then and tries to check on his injuries, but Niles warns her not to follow them. The cave glows extra brightly and Niles wakes up in his bed again, not surprised to see the day has reset. He gets intimate with Misty, then goes to the swimming pool and chats with Jerry, but this time, his routine gets interrupted by Sarah, who wants to know what's going on. Last night, she ignored Niles' warnings and went into the cave anyway, only to wake up and find herself in bed. After noticing the same date on her phone and that the wedding was still getting ready, she ran out of the room and came across Howard and Pia, who had been looking for her because she wasn't in her bedroom and now didn't understand what she meant when she said the day already happened. That's when she saw Niles at the swimming pool, and it takes us to the current moment, where she keeps throwing cans at him and even jumps in the pool herself to catch him. Tala sees this and comes to stop her, but she slips and hits her face on the ground, making her lose 3 teeth. While the whole family freaks out and Howard tries to find a dentist to fix this in less than 6 hours. Sarah continues to be confused, so she goes back outside and finds Niles sunbathing as if this was normal. He explains that they're stuck in a time loop and they will forever be reliving the wedding day from now on, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Sarah ignores this last bit and runs back to the desert to find the cave, to no avail. Niles follows her and tells her she needs to wait until the same earthquake that strikes every day comes and opens the cave. When this happens, Sarah enters the cave, once again ignoring Niles' warnings that going into the cave or falling asleep won't change anything, it will only reset the day again. The day resets exactly as Niles predicted, so while he goes back to the pool, Sarah gets her car and drives away. Pia thinks she's left because the day isn't about her, but Howard doesn't believe it, and they carry on with the wedding as normal. Sarah drinks extra coffee to stay awake and drives all the way to Texas to her own apartment, where she finally allows herself to fall asleep, only to wake again at the house the family rented for the wedding. She rushes out of the room to wake Niles up and tell him to come with her, making Misty believe they're cheating on her. Niles points out that she is the one cheating on him before following Sarah out. They get in her car and drive away as he explains he has no idea of what is happening, could be purgatory or a glitch in the simulation. And this is why he's decided dozens of resets ago to give up and embrace the fact that nothing of what he does actually matters. Sarah finds this idea rather stupid because then they have no reason to live, but Niles explains they have no other choice but to keep on living since dying only resets the day. He's already tried killing himself dozens of times and it didn't work. Once again, Sarah ignores him and kills them both by crashing the car against a truck. The day resets yet once more, and Niles takes Sarah to a bar in the desert as she comes to terms with this. After telling her about the time he made it all the way to Guinea by consuming some crystals, Niles challenges a local woman called Darla to a game of darts. He's played this so many times he's learned how to shoot perfectly, but he does fail when Sarah suddenly remembers the crazy guy with the bow and asks him about him, so Niles tells her the story. Hundreds of resets ago, when he was still learning how things worked, he met Roy, who was a relative of Abe's, at the wedding. After chit-chatting and sharing a drink at the bar, Roy told Niles that the wedding officiant had some drugs in his pocket, so Niles interrupted his speech to steal them from him. The two of them shared the drugs in the bathroom and giggled about it like idiots, then they danced at the party before going to the desert to watch the stars. When Roy told him it was the best night ever and he never wanted it to end, Niles took him to the cave so he would enter the time loop too. Roy didn't like ending up in the loop at all, and since then, he's been chasing Niles for revenge. Although since he doesn't live nearby, he only shows up every couple of days, and when he does, his revenge can get quite violent and sadistic. This is why Niles promised he would never bring another person into this life again. Sarah's case had been an accident. She, by the way, thinks Niles should confront Roy because he can't avoid him forever, but Niles thinks he can. After the bar, they visit a burrito cart for lunch, where Niles pays extra money to a kid selling trinkets since money is meaningless to him now. Sarah asks him if he's taken advantage of the situation and slept around with people, to which Niles confesses that yes, he has, which gets him talking about all his lovers. He shared a bed with Misty, the barkeeper, Darla, and even Jerry to see what another man is like. He also mentions Howard, but that's just to prank Sarah. Speaking of, he assures her they've never slept with each other, and they come to the agreement they won't do it ever since now they're stuck together and it would only make things awkward. Niles wants to go back to the party, but Sarah doesn't, claiming that love isn't real and marriages only happen because people don't want to be alone. She also refuses to tell Niles about her own intimacy stories in return. It's then that she has a realization, maybe she's stuck in this loop because of karma, and she has to do a truly selfless act to get out, like Tala donating her bone marrow. The pair do end up going back to the wedding, and Sarah, as one of the bridesmaids, interrupts the ceremony to whisper something into Tala's ear that makes her really upset. Then she rushes out to go back to the bar, and Niles finds her there, playing pool and being very smug about her brilliant idea. When she falls asleep, however, the day resets again, so her plan didn't work. Calling life meaningless, she goes pick Niles up at his bedroom, where Misty once again thinks she's being cheated on. From then on, Niles and Sarah start spending their days together, trying to find a way to waste all this free time they have in their hands. They sunbathe at the pool of the neighbor's house, taking advantage of the owners being away on a vacation. They rent some weapons and learn to shoot. They go driving recklessly, and they even sneak into a plane and go flying, crashing shortly after taking off. As more and more reset days pass, the more shameless Sarah becomes, just like Niles, so their antics escalate as well. They practice a choreography together and then perform it in the bar, giving everyone the finger before running away. One time, at the wedding party, Sarah hits on the groomsman that had hit on her and tells him to wait for her in the bathroom while wearing a blindfold, causing him to walk on Misty and the wedding officiant getting busy. Another time, they interrupt the party by finding a bomb in the cake and doing a whole show of a hero versus a bad pirate. At the millionth reset, Sarah throws Niles a party at the bar using the wedding cake. They also give each other wiener tattoos, and sometimes they even end the day cuddling. One evening, while camping, Niles tries to explain to Sarah that to him the past doesn't matter, it's all about the here and now, but Sarah tells him her backstory anyway. She was married for 2 years and knew from the beginning that it wouldn't work out. But she did it anyway. When she asks Niles about what he did before getting stuck in the loop, he says it's been so long that he doesn't remember, but that may be the mushrooms talking. Because now they're making them see dinosaurs walking around in the desert. They're so amazed by such a sight that they don't realize they are holding hands, and later, when they get into their tent to sleep, Sarah asks Niles to make love to her. Niles is hesitant, but accepts, and when they wake up the next morning, they're both happy and pleased with themselves for a change. This happiness doesn't last long for Sarah. By not rushing out of the room as soon as she awakes, she's confronted with the mistake she's been trying to escape from. This is Abe's room, because she slept with him the night before the wedding. Feeling guilty as heck, she leaves with Niles in the car, not really listening to what he's saying, just thinking about how she really needs to get out of the loop, not to awake with Abe yet again. Niles thinks this morning is different. A much nicer one thanks to their activities last night, but Sarah still thinks everything is meaningless, which hurts Niles a little. Sarah doesn't want to talk about what they did. Her attention is on a police car that has been following them for a while. She begins speeding on purpose because she's never been arrested and wants to know what the whole deal is about. So when the cop turns on the siren, she stops the car and goes to talk to him while pretending to need help because Niles has kidnapped her. At first, he doesn't want to come out because he thinks the cop may be Roy, and when he finally leaves the car, his suspicion is proven right. However, he doesn't need to worry about being shot this time. Sarah gets in the police car and runs over Roy, since death is meaningless too. A second cop arrives on a bike then, but Sarah isn't scared. She teases him until he tasers and arrests them both. Niles scolds Sarah for her attitude, saying the pain is real and what they do to the other people does matter because they have to live with the weight of what they've done. They start arguing, blaming each other for getting her stuck in the loop, until Niles finally admits he lied and the two of them did hook up before. Many times, in fact. This upsets Sarah, who is now more determined than ever to get out of the loop. So she walks in front of a truck to reset the day. The following morning, Niles is disappointed to see Sarah doesn't come to pick him up as usual. So he goes looking for her. But she isn't in her bedroom, and nobody knows where she's gone. He looks for her through many resets to no avail, and now he's not having fun anymore. He just lays down on beds or floaties at the pool, moping. One evening, while hanging out with the groomsmen and the wedding officiant in Abe's room, he perceives a familiar smell on the pillow. It's Sarah's perfume. When the groomsmen tell him Abe slept there last night, Niles finally realizes what has happened and interrupts the party to tell everyone what Abe has done, proving it by giving Tala the pillow that smells of the perfume she bought herself. Niles now understands why Sarah hates herself and waking up every morning at the same stop, and begins defending her from the family for thinking so low of her, only to be jumped on by an angry Abe. As they fight rolling on the floor, Niles grabs a fork and stabs Abe's cheek, which freaks out both of them. So next time the day resets, Niles keeps his mouth shut and watches the wedding go normally, only to get emotional when Howard and Pia offer their speech. Later, he goes somewhere private with Jerry, who comforts him while he admits he loves and misses Sarah. Tired of this existence, Niles drives to Roy's house to turn himself in, but Roy doesn't look angry as usual. He invites him in and offers him a beer while showing him the great life he has. 2 kids, a beautiful wife, and a great house. He used to be furious at Niles because he would never see his children grow up, but after Sarah sent him to the hospital, he's gained a new perspective. Today is a perfect day spent with his family, and he gets to relive it over and over. It doesn't get better than that. When Roy realizes Sarah is also in the loop, he thinks it's a good thing. Niles has her, because nobody should go through this alone, but he also thinks he and Niles shouldn't see each other again. As their final goodbye, Niles asks Roy to kill him one last time. Meanwhile, Sarah has been keeping herself busy all this time. After the day of their arrest, she wakes up and immediately tells Abe that they're awful people that deserve anything bad that happens to them before rushing out of the house. From then on, she begins to spend hundreds of resets at a diner, studying quantum physics and general relativity, using books, online lectures, and even chatting with scientists directly. When she feels she has enough information, she starts taking readings of the cave and experimenting with a goat and some explosives. Once she has an answer, she finally goes to see Niles again, who is happy to see her and apologizes for hiding things from her. He wants them to start over, but while Sarah thanks him for the apology, she isn't interested in the rest. She explains to him the conclusion she's arrived at. They're trapped inside a box of energy, and to get out of the loop, they need to leave the box during the 3.2 seconds it takes to travel through it. The way to do this is by using explosives and blowing themselves up during that time window, although she isn't sure where or when they will land when they're propelled out, or if they'll even survive, but she has tested it on a goat and the animal isn't here in the loop anymore. Niles, however, doesn't want to get out of the loop. He confesses his love for Sarah and, after admitting he knows about her and Abe, he tells her he wants to stay with her forever in the loop, living the best life, because the real world sucks anyway. Sarah turns him down and gives him one last hug and a goodbye before leaving. And when Misty sees her and makes a scene, Niles just breaks up with her. The wedding carries on as normal, but this time, when it's her turn to give a speech, Sarah accepts her responsibility and says some beautiful words about how nice and hopeful her sister is. The two of them hug, and Tala is happy to notice Sarah is wearing the perfume she gifted her. During the party, the grandmother that usually congratulates Niles for his speech this time congratulates her instead. Meanwhile, Niles is at the bar, drowning his sorrows. Darla calls him out for his moping and tells him he won't find what he's looking for here, which makes him realize what an idiot he's been. Niles proceeds to provoke the barman into kicking him out, which he does on purpose to be close to him and steal his truck keys. He starts driving to the cave, but he gets a flat tire on the way, so when he remembers he's near the shooting range he's visited in other resets, Niles uses the information he learned during those visits and tells the owner that he is his son. The man, hearing such details nobody else could know, believes him and drives him to the cave on his bike. When Sarah sees them, she tells Niles that time is running out, so he doesn't get to do a whole speech, just one sentence, so Niles admits he was scared, but now he's accepted that life must be shared, and he'd rather die with Sarah than live without her. Sarah also admits she wants him around, and together, they enter the cave while holding hands. And Sarah confesses she loves him too before kissing him and activating the explosives. When they wake up, they're happy to discover that they have indeed gotten out of the loop. And it's the following day, so they celebrate by hanging out in the pool. To their surprise, the family that owns that house comes back that day and discovers them on the act. In the meantime, Roy, who is still stuck in the loop, goes to the wedding party after hearing a message from Sarah describing her theory, but when he tries to talk to Niles, he doesn't recognize him. Roy laughs at this turn of events and asks for a very strong drink.